We have the fantastic song, Behold, he comes, it's the year of Jubilee, and out of Zion's hill salvation comes. Do you know that one?
No, I
The Days
don't.
of Elijah, a classic from the 90s. Welcome to the Bible in 1 Year podcast, brought to you by two Brits and aBible. This is day 40. Today we're going to be covering Leviticus 24 and 25.
In Leviticus 24, the Lord tells Moses further instructions and laws, and a blasphemer is stoned. And in Leviticus 25, the Lord tells Moses about various laws, as well as the seventh year Sabbath and the year of the Jubilee.
Right. Went English today. Keep it, reset. Oh, great reset.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, that's
all right. We occasionally give you a bit of insight into what we've got in store for today. Today, Adam Bevan will be talking a lot, and I'll be sitting and listening.
Okay, fair enough. So Aaron is to tend the lamps before the Lord from evening till morning continually. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come.
Which, by the way, is Aaron now being an electrician as well as butcher and whatever else he was doing recently, tailor.
Yeah. He still doesn't have the fantastic glutes and hamstrings of Moses, though. So, but yes, you're right. Aaron's just a legend, isn't he, really? And it's amazing. That links to what I was going to say, because the devotion of Aaron through all this just like so juxtaposes the Aaron that was running around the golden calf in Exodus 32 or whatever.
Very true.
It's amazing what God can do and how he can work through such sin and sinners. It also reminds me of when Jesus talks about the servants keeping their candles trimmed because they're not sure when the master will return. Yeah. It just has a sort of a link to that in some sense, I think, which is quite cool. I feel like I should just keep going now then. Yeah, so we'll go to another little gem here, I think. This bread is to be set out before the Lord regularly, Sabbath after Sabbath, on behalf of the Israelites as a lasting covenant, Leviticus 24:8. I just felt that was clearly a reminder of Holy Communion, the Lord's Supper. So this regular bringing out of bread, and then again, Jesus is the perfection and completion of this when he offers up his own body and his own blood. And that's something that, many Christians, including myself, regularly partake in. No, absolutely.
Why are Aaron and his sons to eat it in the sanctuary? Because that suggests it's not a sacrifice that God consumes. It suggests it's a nice little tea and biscuits or sandwich time for Aaron and his sons, which we haven't said above our pay grade in a while. So I thought I'd throw in a question we might not know the answer to.
Well, that's devastating. It's completely above pay grade. My hypothesis immediately would just be that in the same way that the Lord's Supper strengthens all Christians who have that now, perhaps this was a meal that reminded Aaron and his sons of the holy position they were put in. And I think that also links nicely to the fact that in the rules that we were looking at in previous days, the priest's family was held to a higher standards than the rest of the people, right? So maybe there's something in that. Maybe they just liked carbs.
True.
But probably not. So pretty tough stuff in Leviticus 24 towards the end, obviously. You've got some interesting stuff, haven't you? It's a mixed marriage, so to speak, because you've got an Israelite who's married an Egyptian. And then there's blasphemy that comes out of the son. It could be sort of a commentary on, this could link to the wisdom of Paul when he says that Christians are to marry other Christians, assuming they haven't married already someone that isn't Christian, right? Because otherwise it can mix up the messaging to your family. Yeah. The kid blasphemes, they put him in jail, they don't immediately stone him to death.
Which I love that, because it's clear what the punishment should be, but they still consult God. It still says they put him in custody until the will of the Lord should be made clear to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's a really important detail. It's not flippantly he's stoned to death. Yeah. It's like, no, what do we do with this boy? And it is tough, but it also shows that there is no compromise. And he was aware of the rules and the blasphemy. Yeah. And I think it's interesting to think about the fact that now people say OMG and things like that so flippantly, whereas it was literally blasphemy was punishable by death in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
As our friend Ray Comfort says, if you've ever seen any of his YouTube videos.
I'm not, mate, unfortunately. I'll look it up.
Big fan of his, would recommend.
Well, I'll jump in with something just so people realize I'm still awake. So one of the things I like in here is it's saying how they should have the same rules for the native as for the foreigners with regards to the eye for an eye, wound for a wound, all that type of thing. And I think to sort of, I like that because it means that everyone's equal. Like, just because you're a foreigner doesn't mean you get a free pass. Just because you've been here a long time means you get a free pass. Everyone's even level playing field. And to me, it kind of, I don't know whether it's relatable or not really, but what jumps to mind is how I know that as Christians, we can often allow ourselves to kind of have the dirt kicked over us sometimes. Like, I know that I heard a story years ago about how a Christian taxi driver wasn't allowed to have a crucifix in his car because it might offend other religions. But actually, you would never go to a taxi driver of another religion and say you couldn't have your Buddha or your elephant god guy, Ganesh, like stuff like that. You'd never do that. You'd never see that because that would be just outrageously discriminatory. I changed the word I was saying halfway through it and nearly backfired. But it should be the same rules across the board, really, for native or foreign. And I think we allow ourselves to be walked over a little bit sometimes.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that that ties nicely into like Leviticus 24:20, fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. The one who has inflicted the injury must suffer the same injury. I think that our justice system and legal system does try to mete out punishments that fit the crime. We fall short of that because we're all broken chunks of sin, aren't we?
Yeah.
With our legs wandering around, and some of us have gavels and make laws. But yeah, I do agree. And I see, to me, I heard this in a sermon once. I'm trying to remember exactly what he said, but effectively, it is fitting on some level, though, that if you hear blasphemy, it's almost always against Jesus. You never really hear it against Muhammad or Buddha or any of these other, religious figures. It's always Jesus. And to me, it almost seems to point to the fact that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, as he said. And it's, many of us, we're dead in our sin. We hate that. We hate anything pure and holy.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that the persecution, the persecution we have in Canada, America, the West is nothing compared to the persecution of, say, Iranian Christians or Coptic Egyptian Christians and so on. Right? Yeah. But still, you're absolutely right. There is a certain unevenness sometimes, I feel. And I do think it's linked to because he is the Messiah.
I like that.
And God. I would be remiss not to mention Leviticus 25:8, count off 7 Sabbath years, 7 times 7 years, so that the 7 Sabbath years amount to the period of 49 years. All the sevens. Adam Bevan is in 7 heaven. Yeah, that was terrible. That might be the teaser, who knows? But anyway, I like the idea
that is more, I don't know, better than that. Just how it's saying about basically you should let the land rest and allow it to grow more crops and stuff. And that is so forward thinking, because in modern day farming, you allow that. You allow a field to have a rest. You rotate your crops because each crop takes different nutrients out of the soil. And it's just like, these guys didn't know that other than, I suppose, through experience, but it's just so good. It's so forward thinking. Love it.
Yeah. Okay, well, just to let you know, the 7-7 I was building to a point.
Oh, sorry.
So it's okay. I mean, normally I don't build to a point, in fairness. But the regular resets in the Hebrew society, so that if one man had a lot of debt, that's hard to get out of, right? Mm-hmm. And if another man had amassed some wealth, it sort of evens it out every 7 years. That shows that the laws to do with servitude and slavery of the time is totally different as well. It wasn't indentured servitude forever. It was, I have some debt to pay. Can I sell my services to you for like the next 5-6 years to get out of trouble?
Yeah,
totally different.
And commitments as well.
Yeah, and I've got something else I'd like to say, but we don't have time today, so I'll maybe start tomorrow with it. Little teaser.
Perfect. Well, visit the Facebook page, 2 Brits and aBible.
And please consider liking and subscribing to help spread the word of God. Wait, sorry, I can't do 2 things at once.